Geopolitics and crypto. Why is crypto down? I will tell you. Will crypto stay down? That's what they want you to think, but it's not going to. Last conflict, which we have to be very careful of talking about, was 12 days old. So let's review. If you're wondering why the market is down, it's because there are serious indications of another conflict overseas. Okay, overseas. And this has to do with European nations, let's just say, putting on very serious economic measures against a particular country, which another country really does want to fight. Let's face it. And this was probably going to wind up in a rematch situation anyway. So here we are, 7 days in front of the lunar eclipse. It's not a surprise. What is a surprise is that they really are probably going to scare people out of crypto. Now, what's even more amazing is that the crypto awakening is here. Not just the crypto awakening, the crypto tech awakening. Uncle Sugar partners with Chainlink and Pyth. Pyth, the number one pick in the most recent Patreon Platinum report and a favorite of the GAN model for months. Ticker symbol PYTH, up 100% for the week, even with the down market today. JPMorgan came in, as we discussed yesterday, and put $500 million into a quant market startup in the tech world. The tech component of crypto is rallying. The tech component of crypto is going to continue to rally. Someone asked me 2 days ago, is it too late for Cronos from crypto.com? I'm like, well, it's probably done. And I should have told him to move to Pyth, but I can't tell him that because that's Patreon Platinum research. But there is a point here. First, it goes from the speculative exchange tokens. Then it starts moving into the tech component. You got to ask yourself, what's next? We talked yesterday about partnerships, about how all these big crypto companies got to have partnerships. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. It is happening. Okay. So how do you reconcile the two? Right? We have a thin holiday market. I was looking for some sort of surprise. We have a surprise. It's not positive. Although if it doesn't turn into a nightmare, it could be. Could be. If it doesn't turn into a complete nightmare. Now, let's go with the positive. Let's say it doesn't turn into a nightmare over the weekend. People are afraid on Friday and relieved on Monday if it all doesn't drop Sunday night. You could have a changing government in one of these countries. Now, even if there is a reprieve over the weekend, the lunar eclipse is coming up. So the popular thing on YouTube is to say, this is the last dip. I think in the next 7 days, obviously today would be dip 1. You could have dip 2 in the eclipse zone. Eclipses can create big inflection points in markets. This is where you get your dip. This is where you do your shopping. Because the thing that's funny is the market's already turned. We've had global conflict 27 times. We actually had a global conflict we had a substantial conflict for 12 days. Market didn't even move. People got more upset about tariffs in April. So it's important to recognize that a sector rotation is occurring in crypto, and they're literally handing you an opportunity. Meanwhile, while they go fish for all the big cryptos. I mean, they're after Bitcoin, they're after Ethereum, as in, this, I just got a text from the Eagle, a tweet from the Eagle King that they're liquidating people right now. And actually, this conflict in the Middle East has been going on for 2 or 3 days. There were strikes in one country, in the capital. There were strikes in another country's capital. And, country A wants to fight country B very badly. And, they have some backup. And I know that the Orange Man's family know it's going down, because you have the kids on the tape today talking crypto up. Yeah, Eric going, yeah, we are all about Bitcoin, and we're even into Bitcoin with the Chinese. And, we're saying just about anything we can to create a distraction, including bouncing a Fed governor who apparently has problems filling out mortgage applications. One word on that in a second. We need a distraction from everything that's about to go on, most likely this weekend. Like, part 2 of this conflict has been in the works. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, I have published, Patreon's got 3 reports. The YouTube member area has top altcoins for September, right? And the top 10Xers if we have a repeat of 2017. And this is probably a good time, because you're like, Bill, I've been listening for a while now. You are going to tell me something good, right? Actually, I am. Because one of the latest videos in the YouTube member area is using our GAN model to compare what happened in 2017 to what is probably going to happen in the fourth quarter of 2025. Meaning, in August, of 2017, you had a nasty dip. You had like a 40% drop in Bitcoin before that turned around and went materially higher. Now, I'm not saying you're going to drop the market by 40%, but XRP is definitely in its buy zone, and so is Bitcoin. We published a trading roadmap, and ironically, one of our sells, Arrow, which we said buy the dip on later, it actually just dropped to support near 114. I mean, you call me crazy, but part of me thinks this could be like a buy, like now. Really? I mean, if you don't see a dramatic spike in the price of oil tonight or Sunday night, well, maybe not Sunday night. Well, yeah, Sunday night, oil will trade even though the U.S. is on holiday. Okay. Now, in the meantime, we have a fear trade. So what do you do on a fear trade? Well, you think about your sectors, right? Real world assets. That's what this Numerai thing was. Ticker symbol NMR. Look it up. DeFi. Arthur Hayes talking about trillions coming to DeFi. I mean, that's what the whole stablecoin thing has been about. That's what, my co-host has been saying for 2 years. Amazing. They're selling it today. They're selling Arrow. They're selling everything. Pushing Bitcoin down to 110. This is a gigantic stop fishing exercise. I knew this conflict part 2 was going to happen. I figured it was a week away. But this sanctions thing went through, and I don't even think people understand what's happening. But that's perfect, because really the only thing you need to understand is if you have an AI play, a DeFi play, you pick, Ethereum and Solana, and then you maybe jump on XRP, you might be able to get either a 1x, a 2x, or a 10x, depending on if you go in the mid-cap area. I know, you're like, Bill, the market's down and you're talking about 10x. You're right, I am. This is how you get a 10x, right? When you have some kind of event that, will have some sort of finality to it, right? In other words, when the Europeans did whatever they just did, that means this has to get resolved. It's either going to go boom and be resolved, or it's going to be, power is going to change hands in one of these countries. The bet is that whatever they do makes you want crypto more. Speaking of that, Did you know that there's a Federal Reserve governor who recently got terminated, hasn't left yet, seems to have a problem filling out mortgage applications? Interesting, huh? I seem to remember the Orange Man getting in trouble for things regarding real estate where the bank said it wasn't fraud, but they slapped him with a $400 million judgment anyway. It's interesting. I don't know. The bank said there was no fraud, but this other person is evidently telling banks something that's not true. Who knows? Now, there is a very distinct reason I'm bringing this up. And that undoubtedly, whatever this person at the Fed was doing, they knew about it. They have to report everything that they do. Now, there have been instances where Fed people have been doing weird stock trades and, they don't catch everything. But I have to believe this information was out there, and it's all a part of what I'm going to call the culture W. The culture W. The culture W has been heating up. It's like, ooh, that group. Ooh, you were, I don't like you. I'm red, you're blue. Let's go back and forth on Twitter. That's been accelerating lately, if you haven't noticed. Why? Well, they want to keep you distracted, I think, from two things. One of them is the situation that overseas conflict and the agendas, the people inside this country driving that. The second thing that the banks want you distracted from is crypto, Bitcoin, XRP, right? Even though Uncle Sugar continues to promote it, the banks don't want it. The banks are going to get disrupted. In other words, if you look, just turn the boat slightly towards something pro-crypto. So you have NVIDIA earnings coming out. They have a very creative CFO. They also have a very robust business model, and they may be the best AI pure play, whether you like the company's accounting or not. So in an AI world where literally almost no one is benefiting except, NVIDIA, who is selling picks and shovels to all the gold miners in the gold rush, how exactly do you profit from an AI-driven future? Certainly isn't in the rest of stocks. Uncle Sugar to a degree, because the kids and the dad are all along with their bags packed, they're kind of promoting it. So the banks want you distracted. The Orange Man, in a way, wants you distracted. He wants you looking at the good side, right? That's why the kids are on the tape. But in many ways, banks, tech companies, and sovereigns, they're up to no good. They're up to no good. I'm not selling Bitcoin at 109. I'm not going to start this whole thing where ETH's going to go through 4,000. You're going to have all these shenanigans go on overseas, and then whoever's really pulling the strings is going to get exposed. Someone's going to go, why are we involved in this again? I thought we weren't doing this. The reasons to be sovereign, the reasons to do crypto, the reasons to do privacy, right? Antivirus and all my guys over there making clothing that protects you from facial recognition. God bless the people running that project. All of these cryptos that they're going to hit today, they're going to be buying back in less than 3 weeks at much higher prices. And of course, if you want to know what those prices are and where the dip is and where the levels are, we'd love to see you over in Patreon or in YouTube. By the way, we have the YouTube member podcast coming up right after this. So if you want to push a button and get over there and listen to Toby do the whole psychic thing, she has already told me what her view on this geopolitical situation is. And I obviously can't give that away, but are you paying attention to the tech part of crypto? And can you believe the amount of pro XRP content that came out this week, which was, XRP credit card, XRP partners with the United States. It was XRP everything this week. Nobody wanted to pay 3. They can't stop selling. What happens when they're out of ammo at 3? Meaning, what happens when they can't sell anymore? They're out of supply. It's going to go straight up. Did you know this morning that Solana is still outperforming Ethereum, and that Solana could outperform Ethereum for weeks, if not months? Meaning, if the market goes down, like we have our level for Solana, it's not that far away. It's not where it is right now. But if they hit this market, they will scare people. But these developments that have come out where, it's obvious that the tech component of crypto is going to happen, because one of the things the administration talked about from the beginning was about turning crypto into an industry. Now, I don't know where all that talk went, but they're starting to put their money where their mouth is, sort of. It's partnerships. It's talking up the tape, which is a lot better than, these other guys who are trying to tear down the tape. But again, I'm looking at the chart of Arrow. Wonderful. All the DeFi Oracles connected to ETH. Some of them went up. Some of them went straight back down again. Solana liquid staking never went anywhere. Scott Lawrence, a YouTube member. So we are in 2 different places for diversification. So one place can't shut us off. So YouTube is member podcasts, and we have sector videos now. So it's a very specific. The podcast is for small coins, and we're doing something called book reports. Those are out in the YouTube member area. Patreon is very report driven. So if you like paper analysis, analysis on paper, plus the 6th Street Crypto podcast, that's kind of like my, once or twice a week coaching, research, recap. So it's reports, and video. The GAN model and the Toby model. Toby is a model unto herself. You got to see it to believe it, but you should believe it because, she's been right on the money, right? Liquid staking down, hasn't moved, even though Solana has. Polkadot, Cosmos, interoperability, because your model's screaming about these type of things, about connecting blockchain. Government wants to do something. Government wants to start getting actual data, get some data integrity on the blockchain. You're not going to know what's real and what's fake unless you put it on the blockchain. I'm not sure that's what they're thinking. But if you have Skynet operational in 6 months or a year, no one may know what the economic statistic is once it gets released. You may have to put it on chain. I don't have the details, but it makes sense to me because there's going to be no information verified unless it's on chain. And, whether Uncle Sugar was just doing a publicity stunt or not, there is a big world out there that is all of a sudden discovering that they need to get connected. Because I got news for you. When you see whatever's going to go on or not go on over the next, say, week or 10 days overseas, you may find out who's really in control. You may find out who's really in control of everything, right? Between Web 2 and whoever drives these giant geopolitical events in the Middle East and Eastern Europe, who exactly is in charge, right? Is it the red, white, and blue, or is it some other entities? Right? They're cranking up. Like I said, they're after guys like George, Bill. A good distraction from what? From your future. I saw Zcash was up this morning. Not necessarily the best sign for the market, But, Zcash does have privacy functionality. And, even funnier, it's like, our little chart monologue here. There are coins like PAL, like AI agent marketplaces. Some of these things are actually making a new low and falling deep into their discount zone. So everyone's like, well, the market's going to go to zero. I'm like, well, I don't think so. I think they may have all this priced in by the end of the day. Scott Lawrence, cheers for the clarification. You're welcome, sir. Meanwhile, the stock bull market is hitting an all-time high. Boy, don't you love stonks, right? Stonks don't care about anything. The only thing stonks are ever going to care about is if oil goes to like over 100. Seriously. Now, that said, everyone thinks AI is a bubble. There's a lot of math behind that, but that's also debatable, right? I mean, if you have AI agents and robots walking around your office next year and Tesla makes all the robots, I have a former colleague making that kind of argument. Now, that said, if you really want to get freaked out, if you really want to have a laugh, the big tops, 87, 1929, the top was right after Labor Day. It was 1929 was like, came in off the beach, quiet, normal, at the highs, boom. 87 was the same way, and Lehman went bankrupt in the middle of September of 2008. Okay. So there is such a thing as Rectember, but the thing is, like I said, I'm looking at the PAL chart. Most of crypto hasn't even rallied. You had a 70% move and like a 100% move in a couple of coins. The whole rest of the market is following whatever the is on the tape. So the inflation numbers coming out in 5 minutes. I don't think we're going to be able to believe any numbers until this guy who's at the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been there for 3 months, right? It's 1 month to find the fraud. Month 2 is recalibrating all the data, revising all the data, and then the third month will actually be the publication of real economic data. That includes the employment report. That includes where inflation and package shrinkage really is. We don't actually know. Most likely in the United States, rates are probably too high. And even if they're not, the housing market is locked. You have to also consider crypto as an investing asset class, right? Like, are you going to buy NVIDIA at the high? Are you going to buy S&P at the high? Or are you going to buy crypto when it's down, 5%? I mean, if there's a risk to crypto, it's something happening in oil and equities where those people get woken up in a very thin market. I know I've been talking about this. I didn't think we were going to have, I knew something could happen off the lunar eclipse, and that's factored into our work. But apparently they want to get after it early, most likely because they would love to have your crypto, right? I mean, it's like they don't miss a chance, right? Like, frankly, this has been obvious that whatever this is going to transpire. And then as soon as it starts, wham. And they had everybody off balance yesterday. This is the second time they've done this, right? You had euphoria on Powell, boom. Then, you had a good day yesterday. Everyone's like, oh my God, Uncle Sugar just endorsed crypto. Boom. I mean, dude, it's a playbook. It's a playbook. You need an AI coin. We just released a report on miners, and we're going to be going over even more stuff in the YouTube member podcast starring Toby Ward, which starts in literally 1 minute. We will see you over there.